Hello and welcome to the big show with myself, Pete Selby, alongside Joe this week, and we're talking all things Leicester City transfer window roundup. Also, we'll look back on the Birmingham results, what that means for the club going forward in terms of the 3 points on Friday night, and also who we've signed, who we've let go, whether it's been a good window for Leicester, whether it's been a bad window, what happened on transfer deadline day yesterday, and maybe just a wider talk about the football club, because it's the big show with myself, Pete Selby. Anything goes. Joe, nice to have you. And, well, the lads here at For Fox's Sake, they've let the two loose cannons go together on the big show. I'm not sure that this is a good thing. Do you know what I mean? We may look sensible out there to everybody watching live on X. If you are, hello to you. If you're watching live on YouTube, hello to you. And if you're watching live on Facebook, it's a big hello to you. If you're listening on maybe Apple or on Spotify, then you're very welcome. It's the big show with Pete Selby. For Fox's Sake, by the way, there's new listeners all the time and viewers. Been going for 12 years. Nice to have your company. Make sure you do subscribe to our brand new YouTube channel, where you can watch every single show live, whether it's the big show, whether it's the preview, Champions 10 years later, or the FPL show. Maybe less about FPL because I had a tragic week last week. Anyway, Joe, how do we find you after the transfer madness? We don't have to stay up until 11 o'clock watching the deadline day. It's a 7 o'clock deadline.
Yeah. I've got used to over the years sort of like saying, oh, we're not going to sign anyone. I'm going to stop refreshing my phone. And then 11 o'clock comes around and I'm still refreshing my phone. I was exactly the same this year, 7 o'clock. I do. I mean, it's a bit of a guilty pleasure, but I do actually really enjoy. I just enjoy a transfer. I get very excited about new players. Who doesn't really? If you're not excited about the next big thing coming into your club, and he's going to score 1,000 goals for us in 10 games, then I don't know why you're a football fan. But we left it so late as usual. And I was starting to get, luckily there was a lot of good rumours on Fox's Talk. I mentioned to all the people on Fox's Talk that have kept me going for the last couple of days with utter nonsense and rumours from left, right and centre. But there were the rumours. It was sort of a badly kept secret, really, wasn't it, with the other two after we signed the striker. It sounded like the other two were done. But they left us, they made us wait until about 9 o'clock. So, love it, really.
It's why we're football fans, isn't it? You can get cynical in this dark world about football, but I think everyone likes a transfer. I think the only supporters group, and I work with plenty of Chelsea fans who actually don't like a transfer, are Chelsea, because now they sign a player for 30-40 million and quotes a bloke at work, and he says, I just don't care anymore because we've got so many of them. It's not exciting. And whether you've been brought up in an era of finding out rumours on teletext or in Match magazine, and then you kind of go through to the new era of yellow ties on Sky Sports News, finding out what happens on the back pages of newspapers. Now we're in the era of here we go. And that's maybe gone to the wayside, and having people, we're past the in the know people, and now we've got established people who we follow and we have ratings for. By the way, just a big shout out to Fossil, basically on X, on Twitter. What a great I'm going to say service provided for Leicester fans. Amazing. And again, filtering through the nonsense by giving essentially a gold, silver and a bronze medal for established and trusted sources. You instantly go towards like the Rob Dorsets at Sky, towards the John Percy's in the Telegraph, etc. And of course, then you've got the local media as well, Radio Leicester, etc. If something's put on there or rumours, etc., then you're generally they're going to be the number ones. Really good, and a really good following on Blue Tinted Glasses yesterday, the transfer deadline day. I was watching on there, and a big hello to everyone again, because we've been a podcast audio only, and now we're joining the big wide world of video. And we've got many, many friends out there who have been helping us along the way, and we'll maybe have them on the show at some point in the not too distant future. But let's talk about transfers, because we always like transfers. We know who we've got. We want to talk a little bit more about how they're going to fit in. Now, let's just go through this, because I've got them all written down here. So stand by your beds, everybody. Right, out we've got 16 players have gone out. Loans, there's plenty of youngsters gone out on loan. Just to highlight a few, Henry Cartwright's gone to Falkirk. Will Alves on a season-long loan to Huddersfield. Koulibaly, remember him? I don't. Sassuolo have got the unfortunate player with them. Never mind. Sammy Braybrook's gone to Newport on a season-long loan. 3 players like Everson, Ward, and Vardy, they've all gone. Of course, Vardy has turned up in Serie A. We'll touch on that later. Sales in terms of money, Connor Cody's gone for a few million to Wrexham. Mads Hermansen, 18 million to West Ham. And Didi, Besiktas, 9 million. The players we know, 14 million for Casey McAteer if he hits all the targets there at Ipswich. James Justin, 10 million Leeds. El Canoes ends up going for what overall 26 million. Maybe there's been a little bit of a fee with his loan to Stuttgart, but that's maybe a bit of a canny deal. Again, we'll come back onto these in more details. And then bringing into the club, we've not signed anyone in terms of any actual money. We've got Asmar Begovic in goal on free. We've got Julian Carranza from Feyenoord, centre forward, Argentinian, 25. We've got Jordan James from Rennes on a season-long loan with an option to buy. And then we've got Aaron Ramsey on loan from Burnley, and that's just a straight loan. There's no option to buy there as well. So there's a little bit of a difference between those two. So we've made, let's just say 79 million odd, and then we've not spent any money. First of all, Joe, without, you have to go into any detail, but what are your thoughts just about the business that Leicester have done? Are you happy with what Leicester have done in this window, or have you been left a little dissatisfied? Are there one or two areas of the squad you would have liked to have seen more reinforcements, or maybe certain players leaving?
I mean, yeah, we've talked about players that we, drain the swamp and all that sort of stuff. So you could go down the road of, I mean, is Fast going to go? Are there one or two others like that? Winks, is he still being a bit of a baby? Is he going to knuckle down? A few players like that, perhaps. But on the whole, I think it's been really good, actually. And, we're going on and on about PSR, and I don't like talking about that, so I'm not going to start. However, the one thing I will say is that last time we were up, I did buy a pink shirt for 70 quid in the shop. So I have made my contribution to the balance in the books. But aside from that, I think we've done really well. Got rid of a load of players off the wage book. And you can talk about PSR like that. But in terms of the squad, the 3 young guys, we've brought in 3 young guys as well. The squad over this transfer window has now taken quite a different shape. What with the youngsters coming in, we're getting in young guys that have got a point to prove. It's how we've made our success. We all know that we've gone wrong with players on big contracts, players that are perhaps not suited, haven't got the right attitudes. You look at what these guys have said, the 3 signings yesterday. Jordan James yesterday saying, it's really weird. Me and my dad have always said I should end up at a club like Leicester and all that sort of stuff. You've got.
He said the right things, didn't he?
Yeah,
he said the right. He hit every single strap. What he needs to say.
Yeah, and it seemed genuine as well. It didn't quite just sort of. Although I did. Can you pronounce the Argentine striker's name for me, Pete? Because I don't want to attempt it. Carranza. He called us an institution in his sort of first things he was saying about the club. I mean, come on, you're ticking all the boxes here, lads. But
I mean, with us two on the big show together, Joe, I think institutionalized is probably the best term. But carry on.
I've managed to escape for the evening to do this. They let me out to do this. But I just think that I do actually think that it, this is my optimistic fan side, which I always try to be, is thinking, well, hang on a minute, we've got a manager saying all the right things, and we've had a transfer window where we seem to have done all the right things. It doesn't bother me that they're all on loan. We had Abdul come in on loan a couple of seasons ago. We've had some great players come in on loan that we've then that we've then bought. I know, like you say, 2 of them have got the obligation. I would have thought if Burnley go down and we go up, there'd be a chance to sign Ramsey if he does any good for us. So at 7 o'clock, when we only had a striker, I thought, well, at least we got a striker, but it wasn't the best. By 9 o'clock, when they'd announced everything and actually players going out on loan that needed to, the young guys, I think it's pretty good. I think there's a lot of reasons to be positive. I don't really see, we're never going to be spending lots and lots of money this time round, like I say, and you do realise that they've left it so late because it's loans. They've been waiting for loans to come up the whole time. Is my
deadline?
Yeah, basically that's when it all gets done, isn't it? So yeah, I'm pretty pleased. I'm pretty optimistic and looking forward to seeing them play soon.
Two comments there about what you've said, which really I completely agree with. And I was on the racing this afternoon doing horse racing, and I was sat there and I was looking at a few of the signings, etc. When instead of looking at the actual race itself, and there was a couple of words which you said, which I had written down as well, and one was attitude, and one was something to prove. Now, we're not a club who takes on players who have fallen by the wayside because we are looking for promotion. Okay. James isn't on at the moment, so it's fine. We can talk about promotion. So we are looking for promotion. So we're not a club who can basically take all waifs and strays and say, here's a position in the first team squad, go and prove your worth. But we are a club in our current position, in our current financial position, and also with the transfer window we've had, with the loans being, as I said, actually the most important signings of all, because we are, and I still believe we are the most attractive club to join in English football away from the Premier League by a long way, facilities, etc. And I think we've got that. We've got 3 loan signings, and if you look at all 3, we've got, first of all, let's talk about centre forward, Julian Kranza, who's come over from Feyenoord. It hasn't quite worked out of Feyenoord, but he has got experience playing in European football, in Champions League football, but also playing in Europe itself because he's been over in America. Now, I think a lot of people might possibly look down their nose at MLS, and I can see why, because it's a place where older players go generally and they play, and you never really get the signings come from the MLS over to the UK or to Europe and then flourish. Now that's changing in the last couple of years. But I look at the player for what we need. I'm not really concerned about their past. And I think he does fit the bill. He looks technically very sound. Now, obviously, this is a big step up because he's going to be right in there with the first team picture at Leicester. And he's playing in a very physical league, a lot more physical than he's basically experienced before. And that's one question that I do have of him. But he looks a very intelligent player. He looks like, in terms of his strengths, lots of spatial awareness, really good in terms of his runs in behind. He looks like he's got a little bit of something about him. He's Argentinian. They always tend to, don't they? But I think he can handle himself now. And he looks like he's an all-round forward. So he can score goals with his head. He's predominantly right-footed, but he can score with his left as well. And in a side who are basically, and fingers crossed, hopefully going to provide a lot of chances, I think it's a really canny signing. And we'll just see how he goes. But I'm quite impressed with this signing because it's a little bit left field. And it's a case of, obviously, let's see how he goes, because none of us really know. It could be a step too far, but I think at his age and for what we know of his skill set, it actually matches up quite nicely for what we need. Someone who can run in behind, who can finish chances in any way, shape or form. And also, we're looking at a promotion, hopefully winning team here. Someone who can get on the end of the ball, because hopefully we're going to provide him plenty of chances, because we're Leicester City in a league in the Championship. I don't want to be too big-headed about things, but we need whoever's going to play at number 9 for Leicester is going to hopefully be given a lot of chances to score. So maybe it won't be as hard a step up in terms of to the Championship as if he was playing for maybe a mid-table side and struggling with only a few chances in a game. Hopefully he'll be provided with quite a lot and hit the ground running. But what do you think about the striker? Are you worried about him?
No, I'm not worried about him. Have you seen there's a little video of him having a right old dust up with another player that's pulled him back, and then they've started throwing each other on the floor and stuff. There's a little video of him doing that, which I've got no problem with at all. I think a bit of feistiness. I always like to hear that there's an Argentinian coming to the team. A bit of feistiness up front, particularly in the Championship. and then you're starting to think, well, if he's good with his head, he can look after himself. He spends a lot of time in the box, from what I've heard. And like you say, I was listening to the US Foxes podcast today, and obviously they pay a lot more attention to the American game. And they were saying that he did pretty well for Philadelphia as well. And I think they're quite a direct team. He gives us something that we haven't got. We've got Daka, bless him, Jordan Ayew. Jordan Ayew's a brick wall, sort of running around and charging into people. But
he really is a different player to them, isn't he? That's a good comment. He really is different to Daka and also Ayew. He is a completely different player, which actually I do like. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I mean, Daka. Yeah, I mean, I did think he did well against Birmingham the other day, pressing and stuff. But who knows when he's going to score again? I think
he hasn't got a clue. He hasn't got a clue.
No one does.
Is that his position now? A super sub coming on late in games?
Yeah, I think so. Just to press and add something different. And he might get his chances, I suppose. I mean, he's had one or two recently where he didn't do a lot wrong, and he hasn't had. I can't think of too many of his classic clangers where he sort of has an open goal and then falls over the ball and the ball goes off to Rose Ed and all that sort of thing. But it was glaringly obvious to everyone that we needed a striker. And this guy, I think I'll get carried away thinking, right, we've got this new striker, he's going to be brilliant and everything like that. But he's got a point to prove. He's happy to be here. Strong young guy, and we do need someone hanging around the box because we don't have anyone doing that at the moment. So I think it's a great decision, really. Someone like that. I mean, I did like the sound of the guy from Millwall as well, which we're linked with.
A bit more of a slide about it.
Yeah, but it was obviously going to be money that we couldn't afford. So yes, even having apparently sold 80 million quid's worth of players. Not sure how that works, but there we are. Where's the money going? That's a conversation for another day. But I think it's really good. I think it. Like I say, we'll be really looking forward to seeing him play. And someone bossing people around and making a nuisance of themselves in the box.
Yeah, I can see him being a real crowd favourite, hopefully. And hopefully he scores early, get a bit of confidence going. And then you've got the two midfielders. Jordan James from Rennes, used to be at Birmingham, and he's gone out to Rennes, not quite worked out. It's Welsh international. Now, there is an option to buy. Again, when he joined, said all the right things. The conversation about he always thought he could play for Leicester or Leicester would suit him. And he adds a box-to-box. He's in box-to-box midfielder, something that we generally don't quite have, because if you look at Boubacar Samare, who played really well against Birmingham, he looked like he lost quite a bit of timber as well. He looked a lot thinner, got about the pitch a lot better. And then you've got Skip as well. And those two did a lot of defensive work. And you need someone in front of those. And Young Page, it's just a bit too much at this stage for him. So we need that link between the midfield and forward line. Now, that might not be Jordan James, but he could be alongside maybe a Samari or maybe a Winks or maybe a Skip. But he's involved in that conversation, and then he'll be the one who can break forward and help out with an attack. Think someone like Wilfred Ndidi in the Championship last time out. And then you've got Aaron Ramsey as well, on loan from Burnley. There's no option to buy. A player who signed a couple of years ago for 14 million from Villa. He is more of a attacking midfielder. So your typical kind of 8-10 player. Used to be a winger, very skillful. He can take players on, quite direct, score goals, arrive late, good finisher. In terms of him being a creative player, in behind and lovely little through balls, etc., hopefully that develops in his game. I don't think he's got that at the moment. This is what I've looked through today, and Burnley fans have been saying about him. But there was one or two interesting comments that I saw from Burnley, and they were actually really happy that he's gone on loan, but that he's gone on loan and he will be back, because they see him as a future player for their first team. So this is a good thing. He's been out with injury, so it gives him time to get back up to full speed, play some football as well. And if you look at these three signings, I think it's exactly what we need. In terms of the goalkeeper, we're fine. The defense, and we'll come on to who's not gone, again, looks fine. The midfield, box-to-box player, someone as a number 10, and then a striker. That's literally the positions that we need in the squad. I would have maybe liked to have seen another striker, and I think Patson Daka, if he left, and there were rumours about him going for a few quid to Spain, I think if he left, then we might have brought someone in and used some of that money, but obviously he's still here. And then also, if you look further back, maybe if one or two players left on a free or on loan or went because they're falling out with Leicester, etc., or they just wanted to move on, you look in people like Winks and with Volt Vass as well, then maybe we'll bring in reinforcements. Just be aware, the transfer window is still available in certain countries. In Turkey, I think there's still a good week or two left. Also in Saudi Arabia as well. Elsewhere, Portugal as well. I think it's still going. So there is the possibility of players leaving. I'm looking at Walt Vass as being the main one. But I think we've signed those two midfielders. I think they really are exactly what we need. Really encouraged by James. I do have a question about Ramsey. The only question is he fully fit now to hit the ground running and play? If he is, great. If it might take him a week or two or maybe a bit longer, then we might have to put some youngsters into that position, which I just think it's an area of the squad that we don't have in that number 10 role. And we've said before that maybe Ayew could play in that role, but obviously with him signing, hopefully that's not the case. But I like the look of these two players, especially James, and I think a lot of Leicester fans are encouraged by him. But Ramsey, fingers crossed, he can be fully fit.
Yeah, I'd second pretty much everything you said there, really. Jordan James is the one that I probably was, out of the three, I'm most excited about. He scored for Birmingham against us last time we were in the Championship, I think, and looked really good in that game. Was it two? I think he had two. And I think, yeah, you could see that working out pretty well. And he's, I've gone on record on this podcast plenty of times saying that our midfield is absolutely honking. He's only got to be better than Oliver Skipp or Soumare, which isn't going to be too difficult. Although they both had a good game, credit where it's due. They both had a good game against Birmingham. I would suspect it will be Soumare, and I think Skipp will be the one to make way. It's interesting what you say about Ramsey, because I was under the impression that he'd be like a Billy Canoose replacement sort of thing. I thought he was more sort of further forward. I thought Jordan James was the guy arriving late and all that sort of stuff. He's a bit of everything, I think. But again, we'll wait and see. But yeah, I thought it was glaringly obvious to everyone, wasn't it? This midfield, the first 3 games of the season we played with no midfield, basically no midfield. And yeah, Birmingham, suddenly, I was really encouraged by that performance. And I think, Soumare and Skipp have come under a lot of flack, and in our WhatsApp chat while the game was going on, some of the lads were giving him some stick, which is fair enough based on previous performance, and none of them are here, so I can throw them all under the bus. But I said he's had a good game, and then 2 minutes later he got man of the match. I think he will actually. Soumare will be our defensive midfielder, and either one of these two new lads will be the guy doing a bit more and trying to link up. Jordan James can actually take the ball up through midfield, get it further up the pitch, which we don't seem to have at the moment. So the midfield's just been pretty non-existent. So it's glaringly obvious. The club have, surprise, surprise, gone out and done something about it. We didn't have a striker, really. The club have gone and done something about it. So, credit where it's due. I'm sure all the Leicester fans will be writing to John Rudkin to say, "Oh, you've had a great one. Well done, mate. The banners will be out and all that sort of thing. Well done, John. Great job." But it has been pretty good, and with that Birmingham performance, looking at the table now, there's a lot of reasons to be cheerful, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was a really promising display with a huge gap. And again, I don't want to pick on a youngster page, but you got a huge gap there between a centre forward who wants to come back and help out because Leicester are struggling to work the ball through the midfield. And then you've got the two defensive players who essentially are defensive players, and they're sticking just outside their own penalty area, doing a lot of work, mopping up the ball, closing players down. But then there's this 50-yard gap, and there's just no one there. And hopefully, James will be the player then to burst forward with the ball, go box to box. There will be that link player as a Ramsey, etc. Or maybe even with the new centre forward, allow maybe Ayew to come back and be in that position as well. And obviously, then it bolsters the wide players because Ramsey can play out wide, but I think he's now moving into a more central position and has been since he signed for Burnley. But we know that Ayew can play out wide, but out wide is where we got our strengths. Monga, absolutely superb again against Birmingham, absolutely fantastic. Love to see Mavididi really kick into gear. It's not worked out. And Fatawu on the other side, absolutely mustard. What a brilliant goal! An absolutely fantastic goal. And he has to be one of the top. Well, I'm not going to say he's the best player in the championship because I'm going to come on to that in a minute. But it's all right now because he's not going to be bought. And if he is going to be bought and we're towards the top of the league in January, then he's going to have to go for mega money. But yeah, great that he stays. We'll just talk about the Birmingham performance and also some of the players who are still at the club. Are you surprised that Walt Vass is still at the club? Are you surprised that Harry Winks are at the club? Because I'm fine with them being there. There's obviously been problems with El Canoes. Okay, he's gone. Okay, we don't have to worry about that. And if he's gone for what 4 million on a loan deal, and then the rest of the money is going to come in next season, hopefully after we've been promoted. Obviously, all the PSR, all the money that we're going to get back and able to spend in the Premier League, and all of a sudden you get an extra 26 million quid as well from El Canoes. That could be quite canny because we've already sold all the players we needed to have done, and then this is an extra bonus. So having that money come in next season could be really good. So he's gone, and he obviously didn't fit in. Marty Swen says he obviously likes a cohesive squad. Now everyone does, but I think he's gone for personalities, and you look at some of the players who have left, and then you look at some of the players who are still there, and there is that question mark over them. And what does he do with Winks? What does he do with Walt Vass? Now, maybe he's sat down with them and gone, look, lads, do you want to stay? Because it's coming up to deadline day. We've just beat Birmingham. We're doing all right. If you want to stay, stay. If you want to go, go. You've got the opportunity to do so. And the fact that neither of them have gone, maybe they're waiting for Turkey to call. Maybe that's the case. But I just get the idea that Birmingham results and performance, does it mean that the players will stay on one performance? I don't know, but maybe they've looked at it and gone, do you know what? I might stick around. Maybe they're just going to go away on international duty, Walt Vass, or maybe Harry Winks is going to just go back to his family and go, do you know what? I think I'll stick around this season because actually we've got a real chance of doing something, and maybe we can pick up the second league winners medal in 2 years or 3 years.
Yeah. Sorry, just having a coughing fit off mic there. I've been at a festival.
Walt Vass's name. It generally brings out, kind of hives or a rash in Leicester fans, isn't
it? Yeah. Just got a bit sick in my mouth when you mentioned his name. No, he's.
It mentioned Samari.
I don't think he's that bad at all. You're quite right to sort of draw the point that Bilal Khanous has gone. He's clearly sort of thrown his toys out of the pram, been a bit of a baby, said some silly things like he's going to sit on the bench, and off you go. Slightly confusing as to why he's gone to Stuttgart and we didn't sell him to Crystal Palace for more money. But Harry Winks, Walt Vass. Sorry.
See, again, that's what it does. It's what it does. It's what Harry Winks and Walt Vass, their performances this season there. I don't want to say antics behind the scenes because we don't quite know, but I get the impression right now, this is going to be my prediction. I think by the end of the Turkish window, I think Walt Vass will go. I can just see him going off to Turkey or maybe over to maybe even Saudi Arabia. I think their window closes on the 10th, or maybe even Portugal. But I think he will go because I think clubs will want him. But I think Harry Winks might stay. I think he's the one who will stay out of the pair. What do you reckon? Which one's going to stay, or are they both going to stay, or both go?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really surprise me that they haven't gone yet because they're not that great. Based on what they did last year, you know, the offers aren't exactly going to be pouring in. Do I think Turkey is a good place for both of them, or a likely place? Yeah, probably, particularly for Fass. Not sure what the story is. I mean, I've got no real problem with Fass, and I was in the crowd first game of the season when he cupped his ear. People were booing him. He gave it back. I didn't see much problem with that, really. I thought it was quite funny. And there's no real. He's not sort of down tools on the pitch. Harry Winks is a funny one. I'm not really sure what that's about. There's a lot of people talking about him not clapping and all that sort of stuff. You don't really like to see that. And you do want to see these players out the door if they don't want to be here. So, yeah, off you go to Turkey. I mean, Fast doesn't really need to go to Turkey. He's got enough hair already. But yeah, there'd be the two that would go. Yeah, I don't really think there's many takers. Is the truth of it.
Yeah, and obviously someone like Harry Winks more than likely would be UK based. I don't think he'll be the one going abroad at all. You know, he doesn't like traveling, and he doesn't like moving anyway, does he? So I can see him staying where he is. Let's just finish on a couple of points. Finish on the Birmingham win. Really good goal for Fatawu. Great to see Ricardo come on and score as well with that classic fullback burst and then arrive in the right corner of the penalty area and finish. Really good to see him back. I loved Hamza Chowdhury's performance. Really good, and again that gives you another option in midfield as well. And someone like Winks, I was surprised he didn't come on, and it was. He might just get left behind. He could generally just get left behind. New midfielders signing, especially in Jordan James. Someone like Ricardo being at first choice right back, and then Chowdhury being able to play in midfield as well. But I think those two can dovetail each other this season really well because we don't think Ricardo is going to play. He's not going to play a whole season, is he? He's going to get injured at some point, maybe 3 or 4 times. And then you look at the rest of the side, and it becomes rather solid. And because our strong points at the moment, and who knows how these 3 players will settle in, maybe our strong point will be straight down the middle. But at the moment, it is out wide. So to soak up the pressure and then just release a counter-attack of Fatawu, of Mavididi, of Monga, etc., and then late arriving players in Ricardo late on in the game, and also having the super sub Patson Daka just close everyone down. Now, obviously, when he gets the ball, we've got no idea what he's going to do. He doesn't know. It's like he's wearing flippers. But when we need someone to stretch the pitch and when we need someone to come on who's lightning quick, then we've got that option off the bench. And he might score. You never know. You know, he could aim to kick it into touch. It might fly in the top corner. Who knows what could happen with Patson Daka? But I just think off the bench, he's a very good option. So we'll see how that progresses. But I was impressed. I was very impressed at the way that we soaked up pressure. We never really looked in any danger. The goalkeeper looked very safe once again. I like the way that he deals with back passes as well. I know they like to play around at the back and move the ball forward. Look at the goal against Charlton, very Enzo Maresca-esque. But he's also quite no-nonsense as well. If there's any doubt in his mind, and if you're listening, then please carry on. Because when the ball gets passed back to a goalkeeper and you look at it and you just go, do you know what? Get rid. Just get rid. Because there's a player just creeping towards the penalty area. Just get rid. Don't put your foot on the ball. Doesn't matter if you're Edison or if you're Mads Hermansen. Doesn't matter who you are. Just get rid. And at the moment, Stoyarchek, he's got in his head, I'm just going to kick it downfield. That's great for me. And we'll start again. We'll try and win the ball back. So I was encouraged. The way we soaked up the pressure, the defense, the 2 centre halves, I thought played quite well. Distribution was quite poor still. But then again, they don't have anyone in midfield really to pass to. And that will hopefully change. Yeah, really happy. I thought it was arguably his best game for Leicester, and that says an awful lot. It's not really a high bar at all. It's a bar that's so low, maybe I could jump over it. So, but he looked like he lost a bit of timber. I thought Skip played quite well, but they did what they need to do in that match. And we beat one of what I think is going to be a top 6 side, and we won quite cozily in the end 2-0. And as we roll through the season and we look forward to the next games, and of course for Fox 8, we've got the preview coming up maybe this time next week with Rob Hayes. you become a lot more confident. And I know James isn't on at the moment, but I know he's listening or watching. And I think even James might be, with these signings, a little bit now more optimistic. Have you changed from what you predicted at the start of the season, or how you thought after the first game, Joe? Have you now changed with the result against Birmingham and these signings? Are you even more confident than we know that you normally are?
Well, I have slightly changed from HMS piss the league to probably HMS scrape the league. I think we can scrape the league. Yeah, but again, that Birmingham performance, I mean, James can't have enjoyed it because we look solid and we look like a team that everyone's going to be scared to come to the King Power. No, I'm teasing him because he's not here. But yeah, I am still confident, mainly because of that Birmingham game, because we showed. I mean, I'll mention a couple of the, like we've talked about Sumari and Skip. I thought it was a bit like a hark back. It reminded me of the old Claude Puel days with the double pivot. These two guys aren't going to do anything interesting, but they did work hard. They got back and defended. Special shout out to Chowdhury. I thought he did really well. He's done really well at right back. Apart from
He was my man of the match.
Yeah, he was right up there. Ricardo, we haven't mentioned it. He was lucky to be on the pitch to score that goal. It was a bad tackle. It was a red card. There's
a captain for me. There's a captain who was eager to play, and then as soon as he comes on, he was just a bit too eager, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it can go that way, can't it? With players coming on late in games, particularly when they're pumped up. You see it quite often. But guess what? We've seen him do it several times before, or many times before. He's just got that class to put away. I mean, Jeremy Monga sends the guy for a hot dog. It was brilliant. And he's got the class to put it away. I think Monga was turning away to the crowd before it had even gone in the net. Everyone, the whole stadium knew he was going to score that. And that's what you want your captain to do. And to be fair, you want your captain to come on and make aggressive tackles straight away. So good on him. I did think he was lucky to be on the pitch. And the back line have defended pretty well in that game. So, like I say, I've tempered it from piss the league to HMS scrape the league. HMS will get into the harbour of promotion, sort of scraping its belly along the sand. There might be a few. There's going to be some hairy moments this season, that's for sure. But I am sort of assured that we are one of the best teams in this league. I mean, just look at Ipswich and Southampton; they're struggling. We haven't really played to our top gear yet, and we've won 3 out of 4. And we've played Birmingham, apparently the best team in the league already, and they didn't really lay a glove on us. So if we can do that without sort of really getting going, then what can we do when we do get going?
I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to get a T-shirt that says HMS scrape the bottom of the promotion harbour as we pull in. T-shirt. I don't think that really
that's
goes.
The first For Fox's Sake merch T-shirt, isn't it?
Well, no, actually, it's going to be on the FPL show. Matt Elliott, 186th out of 11 million he finished. So we do have that is the expert that we have, Matt Elliott, big Leicester fan, on For Fox's Sake on the FPL show. Now I'll leave you with one last thing. Who is Joe? Who is the best player in the Championship?
It's definitely not Abdul Fatawu, in case there's any scouts watching.
Well, I mean, end of the day, they can't sign him, can they? Because
no.
transfer window's gone, and I don't
I don't want him to ever leave.
No, exactly. We would all say Fatawu, but I saw the future. I've seen the best player. Now, I'm going to say this, and I really do mean it. This is not just me going mad and losing the plot. It's just me and Joe on the big show. The best player I've ever seen, without knowing anything about them, was Riyad Mahrez. So he comes off the bench, and straight away, he looked sensational. And he's replacing our best player and crowd favourite, Anthony Knockout at the time. And he was great. He was absolutely fantastic.
I remember.
And I'd known nothing about him. Yeah, no one knew anything about him. He hit the ground straight away, hit the ground running. Now, you could say N'Golo Kante, because none of us knew anything about N'Golo Kante. But, of course, N'Golo Kante took 5 or 6 games played out wide on the wing away at Bournemouth at once, I remember, and until he moved into the middle, and then, of course, he was sensational. But we've seen him for a few games. I'm talking about a player that you had no idea existed on this planet. And it's the best player that I've seen since Riyad Mahrez, and it was on Saturday. And I covered Watford against Southampton. And there's a guy who plays for Watford called Nestor Irankunda. He is Australian. He's 19. He's been about a bit. He's played since he was about 15, 16 in Australia. Played for them Bayern Munich. And he joined Watford. And I spoke to a chap at work today who's a big Watford fan. And he looked at me and he goes, he is unreal, isn't he? I said, mate, it's sensational. So he scored so far 2 free kicks. The one against Southampton is unbelievable. But we've seen free kick takers in the past. People still say, I think Gary Neville said about the goal for Szoboszlai for Liverpool, it's Ronaldo-esque. Cristiano Ronaldo was one of the worst free kick takers known to man. His ratio of scoring was unbelievably bad. But anyway, this guy scored 2 pearlers so far. He's very small. He's the first player I can like him to is Rooney. He works hard. He's a forward. He works back, tackles, gets the ball, runs forward. He's lightning quick. He shoots, he scores, he takes free kicks. He is quicker than everyone. He stood out a million miles. Honestly, I was blown away by this guy. This guy is sensational. And I said on to a few people, Leicester could just offer 20 million now. Just, why not? He will be a Premier League player either in January or next year. Honestly, I was that impressed. Head and shoulders about everyone in the pitch. And also the guy who scored their first goal as well. I think not Dakar, but Bubkar. But anyway, they're raving about him. But this guy, Irankunda, he's scored 2 brilliant goals so far, but it's everything else. So keep an eye out for him. He's the hot tip for this year in the Championship. So we'll see him at the King Power whenever we play them. I don't know where we play them. So really good to see him. Great to have your company, Joe, on the big show with Pete Selby. Now, on For Fox's Sake, we have coming up this weekend, we'll have the first of our Champion Series. Champions 10 years on. And what we're doing is we're matching this season with the Champion season of 2015-16. So we're talking all things August and September. What happened in that Champion season? We talk about the results, the players, the performances, where we were, where you were. Get involved. Looking forward to that. We've also got the FPL show next week with Matt Elliott, who finished 186th out of 11 million. That's going to be the T-shirt. I'm looking forward to that. I had a horrendous week last week. So if you do play FPL, Fantasy Premier League, make sure you are subscribed. And also, we'll have the preview with Rob Hayes talking all things our next game here at Leicester next week or next weekend. So, of course, the preview will be out next week. Make sure you follow us. You can follow us on X at FFSPod, follow us on Facebook, and also on YouTube. If you're watching, make sure you click subscribe. You can listen to the podcast audio only. We've been around for 12 years, so that's been on there plenty of times. Where I think overall episodes we're around about 300 now. But of course, this is a brave new world we've entered in Vision. Joe, last thoughts on the big show this week on the back of a good transfer window, deadline day, and also a win against Birmingham. We're happy, aren't we? We're really positive.
Absolutely. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of reasons to be cheerful, a lot of reasons to be optimistic. Enjoy it, some wins. I forgot what winning was like. After last season, it was miserable. And so I'm quite happy to grab hold of anything vaguely positive this season. And it suddenly feels like the club is, after a couple of pretty dismal years, starting to go in the right direction again and doing what it's good at.
I think the last thing really is to get Walker's Crisps on that pink shirt, because that is a sexy, sexy shirt. Have you got it? I want to see it. I don't want to see you wearing it. I just want to, that's it. If you wear that, that will ruin the shirt. But no, that's good. Just
no one needs to see a middle-aged man in this one.
Not at all. Not at all. I want one. I really do want one. I'm going to wait for the sponsor.
Yeah, I've already. I actually like the fact that it hasn't got a sponsor, and I have ordered a knockoff one. So You know, maybe I just wear that for the missus in the bedroom.
Well, I don't want you to go full David Mellor on us here, but that's one for the kids. But also, we'll just finish with Jamie Vardy as well, signed for Cremonese. Basically, he's signed for a Leicester City, getting promoted to Serie A. They've started really well as well. They're winning at San Siro against AC Milan. So yeah, really good, and that'll be great to see him there. That's going to be the shirt. There's going to be. I mean, if you're involved in, I mean, and we all know where you can get football shirts from online. We all know, but I reckon there's going to be a massive delivery of Cremonese shirts with Vardy, hopefully number 9 on the back, winging their way to the Leicestershire region. Yeah, we're all watching Serie A. I don't know how you can watch it. I don't know where it's broadcast, but I'm going to find out because I think we're all Cremonese fans from now on. So if it doesn't work out with Jordan James, if it doesn't work out with Aaron Ramsey, if it doesn't work out with our new centre forward, Julian Carranza, we can all watch Jamie Vardy win Serie A this year. That's it from the big show with myself, Pete Selby, and Joe. We'll be back at the weekend with the champions 10 years on, back with FPL next week and back with the preview. Stick around here on For Fox's Sake and make sure you click subscribe.